not even, my mother never called me by my real name. My son calls me by my stage name. Jack is my name. I wasn't allowed to work. It was the Franco regime, and they had a very tight sindicato, union. And they said, you can work and you can't work. And I was one of those that you can't work. And so I'm bullheaded, and I wouldn't take no for an answer. And so finally these little films came up. Nobody wanted to do them. They all wanted to do westerns. They wanted to be macho men on horses and playing with guns. It was very childish, the whole thing. And I started doing these films, and they were successful, so here I am. And then I met Jess, you know, and that started another series of things. All the supposedly A-grade movies that they did at the time, no one remembers them. And they do remember these films, so it's divine justice, I suppose. I don't know. It's nice to be remembered for something. No, I'm very pleased. He did that because he was told that it was going to be the original version, which it wasn't. As long as Christopher felt it was faithful, as long as Jess thought it would wanted people to think it was faithful, I didn't care. Christopher's a very good actor, and I'm very pleased that he did the Lord of the Rings series, because even at that time he would come and recite pages of the book to me, and he always wanted to do these characters, or this character, or something in it, you know. And I was very pleased for Christopher that finally, you know, after so many years, he got to do it, and he looked splendid. He was wonderful on screen. He had a wonderful image. He was distant, but lots of actors are, you know. Each film is a world unto itself. It's sometimes there's chemistry, sometimes there's not chemistry. I got along very, very well with him, you know. We're very professional. He did his job, I did my job. And then I saw Christopher. The last time I saw him was at the airport coming from the film festival at Gijón. He'd been on the jury, and I hadn't seen him for a long time, and I remarked to him, you know, Christopher, you're looking very well. And he said, yes, I'm very well. I think Christopher thought he was superior to all of us. Perhaps he was, I don't know. Fred, yes, I did, I think I did my boost with him too, I think so. And something else, I believe, I'm not sure now. Very nice, a very nice guy, very nice. And I haven't seen him for many, many years. Herbert Lom, a very nice man, a very cultured man. And lovely, marvelous Soledad, who was killed just right after we did Dracula. She was killed in an automobile accident in Sintra, no, in Cascais, in just outside Lisbon. It was tragic. I liked it. I enjoyed working with Jess then. Later on, I didn't like the sort of films she was doing, you know, but then it was very original. I thought for the moment it was. That was a long time ago, you see. And that sort of thing wasn't being done anyplace. I think Jess's best period is when he had a producer over him to control him a little bit. Because Jess, my particular impression is that Jess would get bored in the middle of a film and want to start on something else, you see. Would lose interest. And as long as he had a producer behind him that made him work, you know, and finish the film, I think that's when he did his best work. There are two films I did with Jess that I like. The Dracula is okay, and Succubus I think is good, you know, for what they are, of course. I think Jess is very enthusiastic, and he loves to start shooting without thinking about whether he can finish the film or not. Charmed his way around lots of people, you know. He's a cultured man, but Jess is so self-disciplined in his way and inventive. He invented some wonderful things. They had to. These directors had to. You know, they had to rely on, oh, where are we? We're in a forest. Okay, well, let's get some bushes or something like that, you know. They chopped down something and put it there, and we were in the Amazon suddenly. You know, things like that. Sometimes it's believable, sometimes it isn't. Jess loves shooting. That's what he wants to do. That's his life, you see. That's Jess's life. Sorry. And if he can't shoot something, why, you know, that will be the end. I'm sure it will be. When he's no longer able to look through the lens, I think that will be the end of Jess. Because it's his life. That's what he enjoys. He lives for that, you see. Every time I see Jess, it's a happy meeting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Jess is a rogue, but I have very fond memories of Jess. I like Jess. Marius Lesueur called my agent once upon a time, wanted me to. They were thinking about doing a remake of his most successful film, and I don't remember which it was now, and which I wouldn't have done anyway, but we didn't do it, and then I keep hearing that I'm going to do this film over and over again. You know, oh, you're going to do a film with Jess? No. My days with Jess as an actor and he as a director are over. You know. Vampire Quadricook, it's called. It was shot simultaneously as we were doing. It was a making of, but it was done simultaneously with Dracula when Jess was shooting Dracula. And there was one day that Christopher got very upset because they really were bothering him, you know, because Christopher was acting and here this other camera was there trying to get him, you know. And he was right to be upset about it, but he liked the film. I think he liked it very much.
To ask for permission.
He's a friend of Jess's. He's a friend of Jess's, yeah.
And it turned out that
that actually, as far as I'm concerned, intellectually it's much more interesting than the original. There are two versions of that. That was premiered at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, believe it or not. And the short version I liked even better than Dracula. I thought it was much nicer. And so I suggested that because I was given an homage a couple of years ago. And I said, you know, I'd like to include that. And I had never seen the full long version, and it's very rough going. It's very heavy. It goes on and on and on and on, you know.
There's a long version of Quadricook?
Yes, there's a long version
and
of it.
How long is that?
It's a full-length movie. But it starts out, you know, with panning and the grainy texture. As a piece of art, it's very nice. But to sit there and have to sit through it, and I hope Petty will forgive me for saying this, it's a bit much. People were getting up and leaving the theater. It was so boring. It was a good film. I liked that film. And I had no direction. It was curious. I had no direction in that. I was given my lines. I was given the scene. I waited around one day and nothing happened. And I had to go to Colombia, or I was supposed to go to Colombia to do a film. And I didn't know when I was going to shoot it. And I was getting nervous because that was a big production. And I hadn't spoken to the director except at the interview. And I arrived on the set, and there were all these camels and tents and extras and things like that. And the scene, when you see it, Schwarzenegger is backing up to me, and I had to stop him. And I didn't know what to do until that very second. I said, how am I going to stop this man? I simply put out my hand. He touched it with his back, and he stopped, and we began the scene. And it came out beautiful. And it was curious, after we had done that day's shooting, Milius walked off and never said a word to me. And Arnold came and said, John is very happy. So that made me feel good. Yes, I had done, it's curious, I had done a short film where I played Don Quixote. And somehow he'd seen this, and he called my agent. And I was on the West Coast. My mother had just died, and I was taking care of her affairs. And my agent called me at, it must have been 3 in the afternoon because of the time difference. And he said, you'll never guess who called me. And I said, who? He said, Roman Polanski, you know. And he's going to call you in about 5 minutes. And he did. And he said, you know, hello, Jack, this is Roman. And I'm thinking about you for this part. So, Polanski is a very nice man. And I enjoy working with him very, very much. He's very easy to work with. He's an actor and he understands actors. And he sort of, I say, he cradles you, he takes you along, you know. And I enjoyed working with Johnny Depp, who happens to be one of my favorite actors. A very nice guy. It was interesting on the Ninth Gate working with Johnny Depp. I can't say how much I admire him because I think he's a very intelligent young actor. I had to go to Paris to do the body cast, you know. And then we shot this thing in Sintra, near Lisbon. So his dressing room was next to mine. And I would always have to go down about 5 minutes before he did because my stand-in was slightly shorter, so they had to adjust the lights. And the first couple of days, it was all very formal, very distant. And then he felt more relaxed with me probably than anything else. And we got on very, very well. In fact, there are a couple of takes in there that we didn't even rehearse, which is nice. It was a good rapport there. And I had to learn to play the violin, which he only took from the back. But I had a violin teacher, and I learned to take hold of the thing, you know, and do it properly. And I could play a Sanson piece, part of it anyway. Off key, but had they dubbed it in, it would have been perfect. But it's difficult to take a violin. I thought it was this, but you have to do that, and you grab the bow this way and things. What am I doing in Berlin? I'm doing a film called A2, letter 2, Z, with Dario Shokov.
Camera.
Action,
Okay.
please. Yeah. Action, please.
The vein.
Yeah, there you go.
A to Z. It's what happens in one day between a couple. Nargis Rashidi is my leading lady, a young actress. I think she's very talented. And we start A with accident, and it ends with Z, which I won't tell you about because I'll give the story away.
Yeah.
I've been a great traveler, and I've seen lots of the world thanks to my business, thanks to the movie business. I've shot in Turkey. I shot in Üsküdar. I've shot in Greece, in Denmark, in England, in France, in Italy, in Sardinia, and in Morocco, and Portugal, Switzerland. It's a cheap way to travel, let's say. Get somebody to pay for it. Actors are born. They become actors, but I think actors are born. I think so. It's always what I wanted to do. I enjoy doing it. Fortunately, I've made a living at it for a long, long time. It's my life, you know. Personally, I don't take myself seriously, but I do take my work very seriously, even though there are these, I call them crappy films, some of these crappy things I've done, but I've always tried to do my best, believe what I was doing. We can't get rid of the candles? No way? Let me blow them out. I feel like I'm back in the cave again. You see, I was born lucky.